Nobel Prize season is in full swing and the headline-grabbing Peace Award is due to be given out on Friday. The prize was conceived by Alfred Nobel to foster fraternity between nations. But as Indochina reports, some recent winners have done more to fuel conflicts around the world than to calm it.
The decision on the Nobel Peace Prize is often politically motivated for a simple reason. It's mostly about war and peace. And we know that it's those with power who can wage or stop wars. But where there is politics, there is room for argument. Here we have the Nobel Peace Prize laureates from the last 12 years. Let's try and bring up some of those arguments. Kofi Annan served as the UN Secretary General from 1997 to 2006. While in office, he stood by the US and supported the NATO bombing of former Yugoslavia, essentially bypassing the UN Security Council. The move set a precedent in the post-Cold War world and in some sense paved the way for more unilateral interventions by the US, as was the Iraq invasion. So Kofi Annan received his prize in 2001. Another UN official on the list, Mohammed El-Baradei, who had served as the head of the UN nuclear watchdog for more than a decade until 2009. He received the Peace Prize in 2005. Years later, Mr. El-Baradei announced that he regretted his silence over the US invasion of Iraq in 2003. At that time, the UN watchdog had no evidence of Iraq having weapons of mass destruction, and many argued Mr. El-Baradei could have done more to stop the invasion on false grounds, but he didn't. Back to our list, several US politicians among the awarded, including President Jimmy Carter, from 1977 to 1981. His Peace Prize in 2002 shocked those who remembered how his administration helped Indonesia slaughter tens of thousands of people in East Timor. Then there was Al Gore, presidential nominee, who received the prize in 2007 for raising awareness on climate change. There were some arguments about that win as well. And in 2009, the Nobel Peace Prize went to President Obama. Probably the most arguable choice of the prize committee because at that time he was on less than 1 year into his presidency. He has just announced the surge in Afghanistan. Yes, he was pulling out of Iraq, but the deadline for withdrawal had already been set by the Bush administration. And it's worth noting that later, the Obama administration was working behind the scene to persuade the Iraqi government to ask for a certain number of American troops to stay on. But the Iraqis didn't go for it. So there is only one non-American head of state on the list, Kim Dae-jung. Awarded in the year 2000, the former president of South Korea contributed to easing tensions with North Korea and to the economic progress of his country. Whatever arguments one may have with regards to each of those laureates, the Nobel Peace Committee doesn't have to explain their choice. The process is known to be very secretive, and they wouldn't even say who the other nominees were until 50 years after the prize was awarded. In Washington, I'm Ganesh Chekyan.